to this instructional video on curating your images for Develop Your Creative Vision. Chris and I have decided that we would like to include curating as a skill that you can acquire during the workshop to help you during the workshop, but more importantly, as a skill that you can build on and use after the workshop. Now, what is curating? Curating is simply the selection, the very careful selecting and organizing your pictures into a cohesive whole. For example, every year I create a calendar and share it with friends and family. And I spend a whole lot of time going through my photos of the year and choosing them to the 12 or so photos that are going to end up in that calendar. And so the curating that happens is this one fits the theme, this one does not, this one measures up technically but not aesthetically, this one does. And it's all those careful considerations that help me filter down the images that I have into a cohesive whole. That's an example of curating. I do it in many different ways, and I'm sure you do too. Recently, I just created a book for one of my sons who had a significant birthday. And so I went through all the photos of him from 0 to his current old age and made it together in a book, selecting the ones that showed family life going well and ignoring the ones that didn't fit in quite so well. I'll often create lessons for the students that I teach using my photos to illustrate points. That's curating, when I select the images that fit and illustrate a concept. Even as simple as when I put together some photos for a Facebook post, I'm curating. I'm making sure that the technical, aesthetic qualities are all up to speed and that the images fit together. Okay, so let's jump into an example. As you can see on my screen, I have a folder here called Port Renfrew, and I have just whittled this down to 61 photos. I've just got back from a trip there, so there's a quick look at my 61. And this is just a subset of those and for demonstration. Now, these are all raw photos. They're straight out of camera. There's absolutely no editing been done. You can see in the history, nothing's happened at all. Now, the first thing I do after importing my images is do a process that I've used for at least a dozen years. Every time I use this, and it works for me really well, it's called yes, no, maybe so. If you haven't heard of it, it's because I invented it. So what I mean by yes is I tap the letter with a P for pick. You could also think potential. It doesn't mean that it's perfect, and of course these are unedited, but when I look at the photos I see the potential that they have after I've done the editing. So for example, this one, I like it, so I tap the letter P. Now, two things just happened. If you look down here in my film strip, you'll see a white flag got added to that first picture, and then Lightroom automatically went to the second slide. If yours doesn't do that, you go to the very top of your Lightroom screen and make sure, click on the word, I'm in the Develop module. I have to be in the library for this to work. So go in Library, go to the word Photo, and see this word Auto Advance. Make sure there's a check mark beside it. That means every time you designate a photo with a code, it will advance to the next picture. That's very useful. So this one is a multiple exposure, potential, P. This one I like, potential, P. This one, a P. Now this one, let's say it's maybe so. So all I do is take one of the arrow keys and go to the next picture. Maybe so again, maybe so again. P for pick, P for pick, maybe so, maybe so. This one, I see potential, P for pick. Okay, I haven't tossed any out yet, but I will be soon. Now this is the famous tree at Fairy Lake near Port Renfrew. It's underexposed, but there's potential. I'm going to give it a P. This one's pretty much the same. P. I like this one. It's got a brighter mood to it. P. This is a double exposure. Maybe so. I'm not quite so crazy about it. Now this one I'll just give it a maybe so because I've already got one like it. Okay, here we are into a great big forest. Someone's tripod on the right. I was with a group. That is a massive branch. I'm going to edit this and make it a P for a pick. That was a massive tree. I'm going to work on that. And then again. Now this one, underexposed, not looking great. I'm going to tap X. Now what X does in the film strip, it makes it go gray and it puts a black flag. We're going to deal with those in a minute. This one, I see potential. I'll mark it a P. I like the composition. Lighting needs work. This one is a P. This one is an X. This one, oh, I'll give it a P, I guess. And this one I like, a P. This one's a maybe so. This one's a P. That was pretty cool. Two ferns connecting here, P. Again, the lighting is a little off, needs all that stuff. This one, if I crop in, I can make it work. This one I'll pass. This one looks good. I got that backlight working for me. This one will work out, I think. This one I'm just going to pass on. This is an X, a pick, a maybe so, a pick for sure, a pick. I'm moving along. Now this is how I normally do it. I move quite quick, making quick decisions, knowing that there's potential in the edits. Okay, this is a very cool twisty trail. And then we found this waterfall, which was fabulous. Now I'm just going maybe so's here because I'm waiting for the horizontal. That's a good one. I can bring out lots of detail. Another one. This is a better one. There's my pick. Okay, and that's it. In that length of time, I went through 61 photos. That wasn't so bad. Now, here's the key point, a couple of them. I go up to the word photo, and the first thing I do is delete rejected. If I've decided, there's only 4 here, but if I've decided I don't want to see them again, I don't want to see them. So delete from disk, they're gone forever. If I need to get them back, I can go into my trash. Here's the reason why I use the P for pick. And if you're not familiar with this, pay attention. There's this, on this taskbar here, just above the film strip, you see the word filter. Beside the word filter is very hard to see, but there are 3 flags. If I click the first flag, I woken the filter bar up. I click it a second time, there I've got flagged photos altogether. My maybe so's are not showing. If I select the next one, now it tells me flagged and unflagged, and so I've got them all mixed together. If I choose the third one, it says no filter because I'm choosing for everything. So if I turn the first one off, now I've got unflagged and rejected. If I choose unflagged on, it says no photos selected. That's because I've chosen rejected and I've deleted the rejected, so there aren't any. Okay, so I don't usually go through all those, but I want you to understand how those 3 flags work. If I pick my first one, and the flagged, and I turn off the rejected, even though it's empty, now Lightroom is telling me I'm looking at my flagged photos. And on this bar, I see that I have 36 out of 57 photos. So the 36 are the ones that I see the most potential for, and these are the ones that I'm going to want to work on. Okay, so what I do now is I start going through these again. And I kind of filter it down, and I look at both of these two, and I think, which one do I prefer? And I think it might be this one. And I go to the develop mode, and I start doing some editing. So I'm going to pause the video here. I'm going to go through these 36 photos and do my editing, and then show you how that turns out. See you in a moment. All right, welcome back. Let's review. The first thing I did after importing the images was go yes, no, maybe so to begin filtering down my images. Then I used the filter bar here at the bottom to select only the flagged photos. I also deleted any photos that I deemed not worth keeping. So now I have two categories of photos, the yeses and the maybe-sos. Now, so it's the yeses that I want to work on, and that's why the filter bar is important, because it puts them together for me. The second thing I did after selecting all my filters was edit them, and that's what I just finished doing. Now, it's not so much that I wanted to edit right away and I was super eager to get at it, although I often am. But during the process of editing, I filter down further which are my picks. So, for example, this one, in my editing, I might say, you know, there's some problems here that I either need to fix, like I'm seeing something on the right here, so let's crop that away, and let's clean up the corners and the edges. There might be some things that I notice that cause me to remove it from the group of white flags, the picks. Or it might make it even more special. So let's talk about the more special for a minute, because I did remove a few. Right now I've only got 31 picks. I'm not sure how many I had before, a few more than that. But now, instead of just having a group of picks, I'm going to show you how I would curate these 2 levels up, depending on how much they meet my criteria of what's a really great image. So if I move along here, you can see that I've just done a basic edit. If I really like a certain photo, I'm going to go back and do some more on it before I share it or anything. So this one, for example, I noticed that bright spot in the corner's got to go. I like this tall red flower. I'm not quite so sure about the stuff on the left. Sometimes by cropping in, I can make it work better. Maybe like that. Okay, so let's say that I really like this photo. I'm not saying that I do, but for the example here, I can give it a color. And there is red, yellow, green, blue, and purple. I have chosen for my colors, for this purpose of curating my very best photos, to use blue, think of a blue ribbon, and purple, think of the royalty, a purple robe. So royal purple is the best of the best. I might only have a handful in a month or even in a year. The blues would be more frequent. So I'm going to give this one a blue. I wouldn't say that super strong photo. But for our demonstration here, I'm going to tap this yellow or this blue box, and now what Lightroom did is it put a blue frame around it, and when I click on it, the blue is easier to see, and it's done one other thing that I'll show you in a moment. So now I just keep on going, and this one I think I like even better than the last one. So I'm going to give this a blue also. Now I don't have to click this box. I can tap the letter 9 on my keyboard, and that did the same thing. So the 9 is equal to blue. And so I like this one. I'm going to give it a 9 also. And this one. Okay, and I'm going to keep going now. The fairy tree. I'm going to give this one a 9. I quite like that. Some people might not like the white reflection, but it has a brighter, more cheerful feel for me. So there's a 9. Okay, and this one needs more work. I'm going to leave it for now. And I'm just going to move along and show you a few that I really, really liked. Actually, some of these, I have to admit, I didn't edit too well. This one I really like the backlight on the tree, and this one as well. I still think it needs some work, but just to demonstrate this process, this one I haven't edited it yet, but it is a keeper, so it's a 9. And this one I haven't edited it yet either, but I can see the potential. I'm going to give it a 9. Okay, I was working a little quickly and didn't do all my editing quite like this one. There's a 9. Now, this one, I happen to love trilliums, and this is actually an Orton effect. You can see I haven't edited it. I'm doing it as we talk. And I'm going to say that this one is one of my uber favorites. This one gets the crown of the royal color. So I tap on this purple box, Now, the one thing about the purple box is that there is no keyboard shortcut. You can only get it by tapping on the purple box. And you don't do all that many with a purple box. This one's a 9. I quite like the way the softness of the foliage works with the tree trunk. And this is very cool, this twisted tree pathway. It gets a 9. And then this very special cave that was found on our outing. So there's about 3 or 4 of them here that I all quite like. And I kind of think I like this last one the best. So I'm going to give that a purple as well. All right, so let's summarize what we've been doing so far and then make a few comments. We have initially sorted all the images, yes, no, maybe so. Second step was I went through those yeses and did some editing, which helped me to filter them down further. Some I deleted as part of the editing process. After looking at my edited photos, I put them in 2 categories, blue or purple. So actually there's 3 categories. There's the white flags, which are my picks, the favorite ones, the best, and the ultimate favorite ones, the best of the best, purple. Now notice that in my library here you can see that my sorting method is capture time. That's my default. But when I go back to my folder called Port Renfrew, to the beginning, what I can do now is change the sorting method from capture time to label color. And as soon as I do that, all the photos in my folder are sorted by color, which is very useful. So anytime in the future I can come back and look at my photos from Port Renfrew and say, what were my best ones? And so right away the first thing I see is all the blue ones. They all have a blue frame around them. And then when I get up here to these 2 called 13 and 14, you can see that the frame is purple. So my best of the best is here and here. Now after that, there's no more colors because that's the only 2 colors I used. The ones I'm looking at now are all the other photos. And if I also, or just the other photos. And you can see that there's my flagged and unflagged photos within them. Now I can also use these flags to say, show me just the white flagged ones. Now, there's my 2 purple ones. And after that, I'm only seeing the flagged ones. The unflagged ones are hidden. So that's a really useful feature, to be able to go back to that folder and separate them out by color. But there's another step that I want to point out, and that involves the use of collections. So what I've done here in advance was create a smart folder or a smart collection. So I click on my word collections down here, and then I come and I see smart collections. Just close that folder here, and you'll notice beside it there's a yellow tab, and that's simply a tab that helps me find things quickly. So if I think that I'll be going to that folder often, creating a color tab like that is helpful. So the way to do that is simply right click, add color to the collection. So there's 4 or 5 colors here you can use. I like the yellow one because it pops out on the screen and makes it quick and easy to find. So now when I open up my smart collections, look at what I have. There's my 2 purple photos set aside, and here are 12 blue photos all set aside in a separate place. Then I have other folders too that are under the Smart Collection. Some of them are created by default. For example, did you know that if you go to this one called In This Year, you will see all the photos you've taken between now and January 1st. So I can quickly go up here and look. There's my first photo of the year. On a trip that my wife and I took to Tofino. I can also look at all the photos of this past month. So I'm just pointing this out as a useful way to show you that there's a couple of built-in ways to organize your photos. And you can look at some of the other things that are in here as well. Now you might wonder, how did I set up these two smart collections called Color Purple, my best, Colored Blue top image? I'll show you. I simply click on Smart Collections and then right click and go to Create a Smart Collection. Now this is sort of an add-on that I'm offering. It's a bonus thing, optional of course. So I click this and I'm going to do a demonstration one because I've already got the purple and the blue. This one's going to be green. So I type in green. Maybe green means for go. It means that I've edited, I like it, it's fully ready to go. Now, this next box, checkbox, asks where do you want to put it? And so you have all these other places that you can put it. You see, I have some folders for other purposes that I've created there, but I'm going to put it under Smart Collections. So it's important to check that box because then this folder this collection could just go anywhere. So I want it under Smart Collections. Now, you have to tell Lightroom where you want to place these. So the word reading is there by default, but I want label color. And the label color is, or you have the choice, is not. So the label color will be not red, not purple, not blue, green, because that's the name of my folder, and this is just a demonstration. So I've created the criteria for my collection set. I click Create, and now you have green for go. There's nothing in it. That's all right. So now I go back to my folder called Port Renfrew and demonstrate how this works. Let's say this first one, I want to change the color from blue to green. All I have to do is tap on the green box. Let's do one more. I want to change this one. And the reason I want to do one more is to show you that it also works with the numeric keyboard. I'm going to tap an 8, which makes it green. Now, when I go down to my quick collection, yellow tab helps me find it, green for go. There's my two images, both green. So that's why it's called a smart collection. Once you set up your criteria, it automatically flows into there. I find that a very useful thing. All right, I want to finish up this video with a couple of important points. First of all, I kind of touched on this one. You can change colors at any time. So if I want to make this a purple after all, I just tap the purple and look, it's gone from the green. Did I say purple? I think I meant blue. I tapped blue. So it's going to now be up here with the color blue. And there it is over here. Or if I want to change it so there's no color, then for this blue one, I just can tap the number. Okay, so watch this picture here. It's going to disappear. I'm going to take the color away by tapping the number 9. There, I tap 9, and we just lost an image. There's another way to do it, of course. If I want to take the color off this one, I just tap this little box here, the blue box, because it's blue, and now we just lost another picture because I've changed the color. Did it again. So I'm reducing the numbers by doing that. Okay, that's a quick thing. The final point I want to make here is that what I've demonstrated here is simply one way of using Lightroom to select your photos. This is a method that I use and it works well for me. It's adaptable. I've changed it over time, but I use it with all my importing. Chris uses a slightly different method. He's still in Lightroom, but Lightroom allows for you to personalize your workflow. So what I've presented here is something that works for me. Chris does it differently. You can do it differently. And you probably already do have a workflow. If there's something in here that you can add to yours, that's great. If you don't have a workflow that's working for you, then give this a try. Make it your own. The reason why we're offering this is twofold. In the past, we found that when our students are working with us on the workshops and we ask them to show us what are your favorite pictures of yesterday or the last 2 days or of the week, they struggle. They don't know where they are. They don't know how to organize so that their best ones are coming forward. And each day we will be asking you to do that because you're going to shoot one day and the next day you're going to share some of your favorite photos with us. And then at the end of the week, we'll have some other projects that ask you to go back and look at your favorite photos of the week. So that's one reason. But secondly, it's just so important for you to be in touch with your photos, your favorite photos, your best photos of all your collection. So here's an example of how you can make this really work for you as you practice these ideas before the workshop begins. Go back to a folder that you've done last week, last month, last year, anytime in the past. Just go to one folder like I did with Port Renfrew. Start going through it the way I've shown you here. Use the yes, no, maybe, so if you like. Use the color labels. Use different colors if you want. Come up with a system that works for you so that then you can click on that folder and say, these are my best from that project, trip, whatever it was. And if you want to use smart collections, then you go down there and you find your favorite photos from not just that one folder, but from other folders as well. Okay, that brings us to the end. I really hope you found some helpful ideas in here. And during the workshop, of course, we'll expand on these, answer questions, and make it worthwhile. All the best. Thanks for now.